everyone, and welcome to the first We Should Read book club of 2016. This was supposed to be up in January, but I'm a procrastinator, so it's up in February. And there'll be one at the end of the month for Fight Club, but let's get to it. This month, January's book was Survivor by Chuck Palahniuk. I think that's how you pronounce it. I'm not sure, but that's how I'm going to pronounce it. I took some notes throughout the book, but there will definitely be spoilers, but this is just some thoughts I had while I was reading the book and some things I found were interesting. So again, Survivor by Chuck Palahniuk. Dun, 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 dun. The first thing you notice when you read the book is the chapters and page numbers are counting backwards, and that's because he's telling a story on a flight recorder, and the plane is eventually going to crash. And he's a survivor of the Swedish death cult, whatever you want to call it. I immediately off the bat noticed what was different about the book. Like, especially the first half, you're just really following a horrible person doing horrible things. Like, there's no hero, there's no villain. It's just trudging through life, helping people kill themselves. So that's fun, I guess. Not really, but it definitely is different. Like, the whole time I was reading it, I felt like I was like, the whole tone of the movie Fight Club like made a lot more sense to me, because now seeing like where I know that's not that book, but it's the same author, so like seeing that mindset on paper. During the story, he sees his twin brother Adam Branson and seems unfazed by that, and that the fact that he's trying to kill him, like he just kind of is like, oh, it's Adam, he must be the one trying to kill me, oh well. And I'm like, is Adam Branson real? Are we dealing with like another one of those? You know, is there even a Swedish cult? Like, is fertility real? Is anything real? I kind of had a little bit of a crisis, but turns out, yes, they're all real as far as I know. Seems real. Then like he inexplicably just kind of gets famous, so the story takes a 180 turn like right in the middle. So it's just like from the middle on, it's just like a totally different story. He gets an agent, and agents are actually brought up a few times. Like, then fertility has an agent. I just want to say this book is like extremely immersive. Like, when you're reading it, you feel like you're in it. Like, it's just, it kind of takes over everything. And it's also said that as opposed to asking the question, what's the nature of existence, now people ask, what's that from? Like, when you see a TV show or read a book, you're like, oh, what's that from? And I kind of get where they're coming from that, because there's this voice that's been stuck in my head for a few days. This guy on the People's Court, he reminds me of someone from TV, and like I can't place it. So even just like a random person's voice, I'm like, what's that from? So to me, that kind of like really connected to the real world. So the word lobstering is said early in the book. Tender Branson, who is the narrator, cooked and ate a lobster very systematically, because he in the beginning was working for these people he only met over the intercom, and he would break down like etiquette and rules for them, since that's like pretty much all he learned when he was in school in the Swedish cult. So he's eating this lobster very systematically, walking them through it. Then at the very end, when he pretty much had finished it, he thought he saw a heartbeat, or it may have just been a trick of the light. And so it kind of feels like that's what the agent is doing to him now that he's famous. He's dismantling him piece by piece while he's alive, and he's being consumed by the media. I get symbolism. She like can see disasters into the future, and now he's been made into some like religious symbol. So he comes to her, or she really comes to him to tell him disasters that are gonna happen, that like he can predict and tell the world. I felt like when she said like, you need a disaster, look in the mirror, it's kind of like the beginning of the end, and then this is where we take our second huge turn in the story. Adam is hunting him for sport. Fertility has referred to Adam as a saint, so at this point I felt that she was disillusioned with Tender Branson and how he's changed so much. Not that she liked him that much to begin with, or liked how he looked. He also, earlier in the book, he would take fake flowers from a crypt and plant them in the people he worked for's garden, to make less work. There's fake flowers at his fake wedding at the Super Bowl, just like the fake flowers that he used to plant. So I kind of like that they like called back to the beginning of the book, because I feel like this is starting to wrap up when we're going full circle with this. Adam tells Tender that everything he remembers is a lie, and Adam started the investigation into the Creedish death cult. And the lies, I think this was really interesting, because this is like something I don't think I saw coming, which I was really excited reading. This is the first Chuck Palahniuk book I've read. I've seen Fight Club 500,000 times, so that's like the first movie of his I've seen. Tender Branson, who is the narrator, his agent told him, or they like wrote his autobiography for him, like he had ghostwriters. Like he never did any of this stuff himself, but in the book and in like the radio shows and everything, he would reiterate and talk about the horrible abuse he suffered as a kid and the horrible abuse that went on in the Creedish cult. He would always make a point to say, at least like to us reading it, that none of it was true, like these were all lies. But apparently, according to Adam, the lies he told in the book and the radio show were true, and all of that happened. So towards the end of the book, Fertility and Tender are now like kind of on the run on their own, and she's kind of her exact job is kind of obscure. I'm not quite even sure what she does, but she travels around and has relations with different men, and she works for the people that Tender used to work for over the intercom, and you know, they stay over there. She sneaks him in and they stay over there while they're on the run. And the whole thing about Fertility is she can't get pregnant, so that's why she does this job. I think that was also a way the book, like, because we're in the last like 20 or so pages of this, came full circle with like the people he never met. He only heard, you know, talked to over the speakerphone, and now he meets them face to face, although not under pretty good circumstances, because people think he's a serial killer. Oh, it's a good book. But also that Fertility has such like intimate one-on-one time with them, and he before this never had that. Surprise, surprise, Fertility's pregnant and plans to go on a flight that she knows will be hijacked. The people he works for recognize him, and he runs to get on the plane with Fertility. So he doesn't realize at first that he's the hijacker, because he's trying to save people from the other hijacker by holding a gun to them. The book ends kind of just how you'd expect it to, mid-sentence. But right before the book ends, he mentions something about when they landed to let the passengers off, more parachutes were brought on board. I think he said 12 parachutes were brought on board. The plane is descending fast, it's crashing. But before that, Fertility says that like if he survives the crash, they can go off and like live in the Australian outback together or something, because the plane's crashing over Australia. So when the book ends mid-sentence, did he die in the crash, or did he jump out with one of those parachutes? I mean, the book is called Survivor. Is he just the survivor of the Creedish death cult because he's like, that's what he's known for, being the survivor? Or is he also the survivor of the plane crash? Because now nobody will be looking for him, and I'm not sure. And it's kind of frustrating, but like in a good way, and in just what I expected of a Chuck Palahniuk book. My first one. I'm definitely not disappointed. I'm very happy that I chose this book to read first. Let me know what you think of this video. What do you want more out of this? What do you want like less of? Just like let me know, and I will see you later this